Listen up. I want you to understand something, okay? I ain't no fucking guru, but I'll tell you right now what's the most important thing that you'll finally figure out when you're in this situation. It's not a job, it's not a relationship, and it's not money. It's time. Is the most valuable component of life. You can't buy it, you can't get it back, but you constantly lose it. So I make every day really important.
That was Christopher Velona, and this is the SHAIR Podcast.
It's time for the SHAIR Recovery Podcast, where we bring you amazing life-changing success stories from addicts and alcoholics all over the world who share their inspiring journey in recovery. And now, here's your host, O.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the SHAIR Podcast. And today we have Chris Velona joining us on the show. And Chris has an unbelievably amazing story of recovery. But not only of recovery, of overcoming adversities, challenges in life, really, really tough challenges in life, in marriage, in family, and with his son, Sebastian. In this touching and emotional episode, you will all get an opportunity to see real recovery and action. Today, it is an honor and a privilege to help Chris share his story, and more importantly, help him create awareness for a disease that many of us have never heard of. Batten Disease, that his son Christopher is currently battling with. So without further ado, let's dive into Chris's story. But first, a quick message from our sponsors. Today's episode of the SHAIR Podcast is brought to you by the SHAIR Recovery Community. The SHAIR Recovery Community is our new online recovery resource that offers online recovery meetings as well as peer-to-peer recovery support and coaching that will enhance your journey in recovery. If you find it difficult to make regular meeting attendance in your area or are unable to find the recovery meetings that fit your needs, then the SHAIR Recovery Community is the perfect place for you. And the best part is you can try out the SHAIR Recovery Community for the introductory rate of only $1 in the first month, and after that, it's only $12 a month. That once again include live online meetings, peer-to-peer support, and recovery coaching. So for more information about this amazing recovery resource, go to www.theshairpodcast.com, go to the top of the navigation bar, and click on the button that says SHAIR Recovery Community. And join the SHAIR Recovery Community for only $1 today. Picture this. You're at work or your office or running your business, and you feel confident, fulfilled, successful. Now, imagine this. Going home after work and feeling safe, comfortable, and relaxed. Now, how does that sound to you? How does that make you feel? Now imagine that every single day you feel confident, successful, fulfilled, comfortable, relaxed, joy, and love. Can you picture it? Can you imagine what that would feel like? Of course you can. My name is Omar Pinto, and I am an NLP certified life coach, as well as an MRC certified peer-to-peer recovery specialist. So if you're listening to this message and you're saying to yourself, that's the life I want for me, then go to omarpinto.com right now and schedule a free consultation with me today. And if you'd like to contribute to the SHAIR Podcast by putting $1 in the virtual basket, then go to www.theshairpodcast.com, go to the top right corner of the page, and click on the button that says Donate, and drop $1 in the basket today. And if you'd like to access another free resource as powerful or even more powerful than the SHAIR Podcast, then join us in the SHAIR Recovery Network. It is our free private Facebook group that is active 24/7 from people all over the world. If you're seeking recovery, then go to Facebook, go to the search bar, type in SHAIR Recovery Network, and join this free recovery resource today. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. It's one of the best ways to show your support for the podcast. Now, a quick message from Transitions Daily, and then on to the show. Would you like to join a free, anonymous online group that offers a daily topic email with popular recovery resources, accompanied by a secret Facebook group for discussion? Then go to dailyaaemails.com for more information about Transitions Daily. And don't forget to share dailyaaemails.com with friends, in meetings, and with sponsees in recovery. All right, so Chris, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Omar, for having me.
Dude, I am excited to have you on the show today. How you feeling?
Feel wonderful. Love Mondays. My day.
All right. Okay, folks. So today we have Christopher Velona joining us on the SHAIR podcast. And the way we were put together is with my good friend, Tony Grebmeyer. And you were Tony's sponsor for a while, right?
Yeah, I don't admit that too often, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Anyway, so Tony hit me up. He's like, dude.
No, I was just going to say I love Tony. Actually helped me a great deal about 9-10 years ago when he came into my life. So I was just happy to have somebody like him. Boy, when they say to work with newcomers, holy shit. Pretty good guy is still going strong. So.
No, dude, I absolutely love Tony. And, thank you, Tony, for a lot of things, right? I interviewed Tony back last year. Oh, my God. Dude, I interviewed Tony last year this month. That's how long I've known Tony.
Okay.
Wow. I just thought about that. And probably around the same, this is, little God bumps. So that's very cool. I live for that kind of synchronicity kind of shit. So anyway, so Tony put us together. Chris was a sponsor. And it was funny because right before we started the interview, he hit me with some shit that kind of fucked me up. And it kind of like, it could set a tone. I think it's a little bit heavy, and I'm sure you'll go into that, but you were mentioning me about your son. And that's some stuff that you can choose to talk about it or not, but it kind of threw me off a little bit, cause I wasn't expecting it, so anyway, I'm super grateful that you're on the show, and I'm super grateful that we're going to be able to go and dip and dive on all kinds of stuff. So before we get real deep, tell me about what your normal daily routine looks like, including recovery, Chris.
The nuts and bolts of it is I get up every day between like 4 and 5 a.m. On the West Coast, Cali, and I have my coffee and my meditation time. I get up at that time because it's quiet, and I'm able to have less distractions, and I get a lot of stuff done. First thing is I talk to my higher power. I go through my meditation books, make a pot of coffee, and a couple shots of espresso. And I kind of stare out this window over here, and I look at the sunrise. And about that time, a few guys will be texting me here and there from across the country. And if I have my children, because I am divorced, I share custody with my ex-wife. If I have my children, start to shake them out of bed around 6 a.m., make breakfast for them, dress them, shower them, whatever they need. My oldest son, Sebastian, is special needs, so he requires a lot of attention, a lot of prompting, but he's a character. Shit out of him. And, of course, I got a 12-year-old up there who's he's a preteen, thinks he knows everything. So that's always a challenge and fun and exciting. I get him off to school, and then I bounce over to the gym or I go for a run. And then I start my work day around 11 o'clock. I am a special education aide for the Newhall School District, and my class is a split highly functioning, severe autistic, and many other different neurological disorders and physical challenges, second and third grade split. And I stay there till about 3 o'clock, helping the teacher and just be a support system for her, and to help the kids get through the day. Centers, basic reading, math, PT, speech, and then put them on the bus. And I go and get my other kid, Gage, and then I go to the bus stop and I get Sebastian, and then I come home, kind of have a little bit of downtime, let them play video games. I work on my foundation for Project Sebastian, which we'll get into in a minute. And then I just make dinner. I found a tremendous love for cooking. It's one of the great many distractions from my brain that I absolutely love, because I am a rat brain through and through. And then I go to bed by 9:30. Get up and do it all over again with a smile. Yeah.
So, and what does your recovery routine look like?
I'm sorry if you could probably hear my son upstairs playing video games. I apologize.
No worries, man.
It's Fortnite. It's all day Fortnite. So my recovery, about 2 to 3 times a week, maybe sometimes more. I'm going to a regular AA meeting. I go to the 9 a.m. Stepping Stones over here in Santa Clarita, which is a great group of it's a men and women's mixed, open, non-closed meeting. It's funny because you walk through this room and you go down this hall, and it's like Al-Anon to the right, AA to the left, and you kind of go, well, fuck, what do I need? I kind of dip wherever I want to get in there, and I'm talking to an alcoholic every day. If my sponsor's not available, I keep going down, the old phone tree, and I just keep finding someone who will take my bullshit. So I'm currently not sponsoring anybody. I'm currently not doing any commitments, and I'm redoing step 10 because I believe you need to do that early and often. So that's it. There is no excuse for my lack of having no sponsees or non-commitments, except that I took on a role I've never took on for as a lacrosse head coach. And that was my first coaching gig ever in my life, and coaching my youngest son in a sport I never even knew about. And they asked me to coach, and they said if I didn't coach, then he couldn't play, and 15 other kids couldn't play, and they would gladly refund our money. And I was just like, holy shit, well, I want them to play. I want to play. So I said, I'm not qualified. And he was like, yeah, neither was I. There's this thing called YouTube. And that's what I did. You're looking at a YouTube coach, man. Go lacrosse.
Dude, that's fantastic.
So, that's been amazing. That took up all of my nights pretty much. And, practicing 3 or 4 times a week with the kids and the games on Saturdays and Sundays. The season just ended. I'm happy to tell you that we won only 1 game, but it was the beginning of the championship round. Go figure, right? And the best part about that, Omar, was actually walking through that fear and to seeing all the kids come together for that 1 win, and just the elation. And it's just so great that you get to just show that to these kids who've never really experienced that. Maybe not in this sport, maybe other sports, but it was just great to be a part of that.
Well, life dips and dives, man. For example, how much clean time do you have, and when's your anniversary date?
Oh, yeah, about that. So I am sober since September 28th, 1996, which just puts me over the window about 21 years.
Yeah,
huge. There's some wood there. But that's how much clean time I have. Yeah.
Well, and when we dip and dive through 21 years of sobriety, so many things happen. Even in those first 5 years, tremendous amount of work that we do on ourselves. Then we start taking on commitments, and then like years 5 to 10 is all about giving back, right? But when we're a single dad, we've got 3 kids, right, and we have an opportunity that most of us do not have, and at the same time we get to YouTube it, to get it done, right? It's like, I'm gonna do it. Right? I'm going to take that opportunity that many of us would love to have. Yeah.
Definitely sobriety has taught me that you just go through it and you don't have a choice. So,
yep.
I mean, what's the alternative? A lot of bad decisions.
So the other thing that I want to ask too is you talked about it in the beginning about your daily routine. For me, one of the anchors in my life is my spirituality, my conscious contact with a higher power. You talked about, the readings and the meditations, right? Is there anything more that you want to elaborate on how you maintain that spiritual condition, that conscious contact with a higher power?
I've learned to just have my own personal relationship with my HP. Born, bred, Catholic, altar boy, working for the Monsignor, doing all that crap, and then having a real resentment towards my faith about the high school years when I was able to go off on my own. I was at multiple parochial schools before I got into the public school system. But finding that spiritual connection, it came back around 96, 97, years 1 and 2. And one of my first sponsors simply says, it doesn't matter to me what you believe in. I just want you to understand that you may think you know this program because of your family, but you really don't know shit because everybody's different. And the thing that I also remember was that he says, you don't have to go to church to be here. You don't have to believe in a God to be here. And you don't have to profess anything to be here. And I said, well, what do you need me to do to be here? And he says, just fucking come and sit down and understand that you're not alone, and stop trying to bounce out early and stop looking for the differences and look for the similarities and look at these apropos on the wall. And I was like, that's so stupid, because in my household, I grew up with parents who got sober in 73 and 74. And I only heard horror stories of how they used to put me in the back seat as a baby and drive drunk and shit. So I'm lucky to be here. I'm lucky to have parents that, got this thing early. And the bottom line is that, you watch these people come through your house as children, and you get offended and you get resentful and you get angry at this program, and you hate these guys that are taking time away from your mom and dad because that's your mom and dad. And I didn't really understand the term babies and shit. And I was like, fuck these people, man. I hate them all. I mean, you fucking idiots come here crying to my dad, and fucking man up, get a job, loser. And I was just an asshole. And, there I was, fucking 10, 12 years later doing the same shit. So I realized, what? Maybe there is something to this spiritual connection. And I didn't have to get on my knees, but I just had to learn to find a quiet spot and quiet time and just talk and ask for help and just talk about it. And then, my quiet time could have been anywhere. One of my greatest sponsors ever, he just simply says, your quiet time is when you're in the shower, when you're on the shitter, when you're in the tanning salon, when you're, in the elevator, or if you just happen to fucking take a walk in the mountains. He says, your quiet time is when you decide to put the effort in to make the quiet time. Because God, fucking gave you 2 of these and 1 of these. And as you know, I love to talk, but I had a hard time listening to everything because I just, I had to just silence the not only the rat brainism, but I had to silence the critics because, if you knew me, Omar, you'd be betting on me every day that I'd be getting drunk because you fucking hated me because I was an asshole. So I stayed sober, honestly, the first 5 years out of just sheer delight to piss these people off.
Yeah.
They lost thousands of dollars in bets. And I knew the fucking guys that were betting because they're all my dad's cronies and shit. So I knew it. So I was like, I'm still here. How's that checkbook? But I learned that meditation was great. I learned that talking was amazing. It's so true what they say. You got to just give it all to your fucking higher power. And somebody say, you know what? I'm done. You take all this shit because I can't do it anymore, and I don't want to do it anymore, and I'm done. But I'm going to stay sober. But, there was such a relief. And then the adding the writing to that meditation, doing the work on paper was so significant to me because it got those crazy thoughts and emotions, out there and onto this paper, and you probably can't see this, but I'm still writing today. I got copious amounts of journals and stuff because I got a lot to say. God damn it! And here's the thing: once it left my body, and my therapist agrees with this. Once you stop fighting with this and you put it to paper, you're able to let it go, and that's like a fourth step inside of therapy. But that's a real fourth step in this program. And you can purge and let it go. Shit, I've probably actually taken lighter fluid and just lit those papers on fire with some of my sponsors. It didn't feel any better than letting it go, but it was kind of cool to watch them all go up in flames. My sponsor says, "There goes your past, bro. Don't let it come back." And I said, "Well, it's kind of hard. It's on fire, Those are the things, the finding the quiet time, calling another alcoholic, doing the meditation, doing the work, doing the writing. And you don't have to do hours of it at a time, Omar. It could be a stupid little note. What was it? I had it here the other day. How does it? Oh, here it is. How does it work? It simply works by you beginning. How hard is that? I just wrote it down. It just came to my mind. Who knows, mate? Those are the simple things to keep me motivated, if one would say, motivated.
Yes, yeah. I agree 100%. And this is exactly why I asked the question, right? There's just these beautiful rituals that we each have. A lot of it is embedded, or it comes from what we learn in recovery, what we learn working the steps, what we learn from our sponsors, what we learn watching others. But then when we adapt our own routine, our own style, and then we connect and we get that beautiful, the reward that comes from doing the work, from taking out of our head, putting it on a piece of paper and turning it over to God, right? There is this magic that happens. Right? And I can't ask this question enough. I'll always ask it on the interviews because I personally believe, like, when it comes to my value system, spirituality is right there in the first 3 slots. You know what I mean? I've got spirituality, I got recovery, and then I got money. You know what I mean? And then, so I keep those things, I try and make sure that those are the clear in my mind of what I need to do. Because without recovery and without spirituality, there is no money. And without money, I can't take care of my family. I can't take care of my responsibilities. I can't take care of my health. And I think that's what's so important, key, is to know where I'm at, what my values are, and what my morning routine looks like, man. Because if I'm not connected with God, then I'm running around like some kind of maniac with a loaded gun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I find it comical and yet, cringeworthy, stuff coming out of your own closed group about, HP versus atheism. And lately these talks that are these people are just going nuts. And I chimed in because it always sparked that one type of idealistic that made me stay was the only requirement for sobriety and AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. And nowhere in that statement does it say you have to believe in a God or not believe in a God. But I had the desire to stop drinking because I just didn't know what else to do. So it's interesting that you bring up that connection with action. And people will either go to the God card or they'll go to the doing the work card. You know what I mean?
Yes. But there's a way to combine both. And there's all kinds of craziness that goes on the Facebook group, which I love. And I, as long as it doesn't get negative, what's that?
We're crazy, bro. That's why.
That is. But as long as it's not negative, right? I encourage the free flow of ideas because in there, right, comes sparks of ideas, sparks of spirituality. It allows people to create little bridges over to the things that they were afraid of before. And all of a sudden, it doesn't look so fearful on the other side. We create these little bridges that allow them to take a look at things in a different way, in a non-judgmental, positive environment, right? Which I think if that's how we were most of the time in the world, right, things would be very different.
It's true, and you're doing something great there, Omar. I applaud you for creating this page and the podcast because it actually connects others who don't understand, who don't like it, or don't want to do these things. will connect these people to help them find a resolution. So kudos to you, brother.
Thank you, brother. We do this thing together. So, Chris, we're going to start going into the backstory. And first, briefly, please tell us what it was like the very first time you drank or used drugs and how it made you feel.
Well, I always tell this story. I don't know if it really happened or not, but it just sounds good. This is my last memory of it. All right. So the very first time in my household, it was the traditional Italian Sundays. Okay. So there was a bunch of, just wine drinking grappa women, crazies, and, everybody from all over the planet coming in. That's what I remember. And, I remember these huge dinners, even in sobriety. It was great. But as a child, I remember coming in, playing with my brothers, and I remember seeing, a glass, a clear glass. It looked like water. And I came in, and it's like, I reached for it, and I drank 2 or 3 gulps of it because I was sweating. And I'll never forget that burn, Omar. It was just straight, it was vodka or some huge high octane clear drink. And I just screamed. It just hurt so bad. I think I was like 8 or 9 at the time. I had no idea. And a lot of it went down and some of it got spit up. And I remember feeling warm, the rest of the night. And I didn't understand it. And it's like, it was so funny. My parents weren't pissed. They were pissed off at my grandmother or somebody who left it. And they just, they were like, oh shit, here we go. It's going to start, but did that happen to start the thing? I don't know. I believe that now we're genetically dispositioned in this disease. But I think the really first time that I actually had a drink and made a decision was 8th grade. 8th grade, fat, pimply, no game, just ugly as fuck, hanging out with the nerds and the dorks, getting picked on and bullied by the jocks. And my friend says, hey, man, you want to try something? This is called a wine cooler. And I was like, what's a wine cooler, man? I don't like wine. That's ugly, man. He said, no, it just tastes like fruit punch, man. Sure enough, dude. Bottles and James is my friend. And because I was fucking huge, it took about 8 of those to add some more calories to the fat kid's diet, but I was hammered. It was great. And, my world changed because I wasn't scared and I wasn't intimidated and my friends liked my jokes and I didn't care if I didn't have a girlfriend or I didn't have friends. It just was a different feeling. And that's how it all started, 8th and 9th grade, It wasn't like I was doing it all the time. It was just like weekends and, 8th and 9th grade. I mean, come on, we're 14, 15. We're not really able to go out with the guys and shit like that. I was still in my camouflage egging cars. What else the hell did I was that dorky kid, man. So, yeah, that was the first time. And I liked it. It felt good. No, I won't lie to you. Did I get sick? Nope. Not on that. No.
And it was fun. It was fun
because I was with the people I liked. My fun friends, my geekies.
And also it allows you to kind of feel comfortable in your own skin.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. I was so out of place.
Yeah.
Just total.
All right. Well, Chris, you're all warmed up. So this is where I turn the show over to you. It's time for you to share your story, your battle with drugs and alcohol, the wreckage it caused in your life when you hit rock bottom, and then finally your journey into recovery up until today. So, Chris, take it away, brother.
It's been a long time since I've done my pitch, Omar.
We're ready.
I've just been kind of sidetracked with life and stuff, and I'm grateful to have these challenges currently today. But, those little wine cooler days led into these house parties with my parents. were very wealthy at the time. Back in the 80s and 90s, my father ran television stations. And, he was also in the real estate business. He was like one of these first flippers when nobody else was fucking understanding what it was. He was flipping shit every year. He was making a ton of money on top of his TV salary. So we had these beautiful homes, and my sister and my brother would, kind of throw these parties, and, it's like all these people would show up, and, I said, I'm going to do that too. And, of course, I'm the youngest of four. So everyone else has been making all these mistakes, and I just think I can do it better, right? Yeah, it never works out because the parents are so pissed off they're on to you from the beginning. So they're waiting for you to fuck more. So had these house parties, thought, I would basically throw these parties when I was like 15, 16 in $1 million home at the time in La Cañada. Yeah, I grew up that spoiled fucker.
Yeah, I was about to say La Cañada, Flint Ridge. I remember you guys.
OLC Spartans, baby.
I think we're the same age. I'm 47. How old are you, Chris?
I'll be 49 in September. I got you beat. I'm still your elder.
Yeah. But I was a sophomore when you were a senior. So same time. I was in LA.
Yeah. So, I had the parties. They're very reminiscent to TV shows today with these kids and these shows. Everybody just getting stupid. I was like the popular kid for the weekend because the parents were out of town. And I did these things to do two things only. One, to make friendships and to be cool, to be the cool kid for once. And two, when I really wanted to feel good. And there was a lot of fucking shit going on in my life. My brother was just a fucking mental nightmare. My other brother was a doper turned cop. My sister was the smart kid. And then there was me, the fat kid who decided to leave a baseball career to chase girls and drive a car. So I was just like, I just want to have friends. I just want to live my life. And the more I drank and the more parties I had, the more popular I became. And so I just ran with it. And, I never got the cheerleader, not until college, but I never got the I don't know, I guess the kudos that you think you're going to get when you do these things because, you're just still this fat, dorky kid with $1 million pad and driving a $50,000 car and a credit card that has no limit because you're a spoiled fucker. No wonder I had friends, and that's the same way when I was able to go into the bar scene. I went to 3 different high schools. So I got kicked out of Providence for not ratting on my friends who were doing dope on the retreat to one of the nunneries that we were going to visit. They all got high in the back of the bus. And because I was with them and I wasn't doing it, I swear to God, not till later. But the principal made an example out of me. And my father came and rescued me and just stuck up for me. And he says, it's so funny. The principles on the apropos on these walls are about trust and integrity and truth and honesty. And here's my son exuding just that, and you're punishing him for it. You don't deserve my son. Boy, that car ride was horrible on the ride home. You fucking stupid piece. You lost that education. Oh, my God. But it was like so funny. But I said, but I'm not a rat. And he said, fucking love you. Always forgive me. Good one. And then he put me into St. Francis, and I was getting picked on there during the transition to summer school. And then I was taking martial arts at the time, and these football players were huge. So basically they were always like throwing me around like a football. And finally one day I just stuck up for myself. And at the time I front snapped this kid in the jaw and broke his jaw. The Franciscans said, Mr. Velona, come here. I was gone. And right at the bottom of that hill was the public school system, which was La Cañada High. They graciously welcomed all the misfits and all the idiots. So, and my GPA went from a 1.9 to astonishing 2.2. So it was great. And I met some normal people there, and he taught me how to drink more and mix drinks. And I met a bunch of people, and I had the house parties, and watched my parents take, numerous cakes. And I was the hypocrite giving them, the cake for like the 5 and the 10 years. And then I would go to the bar and buy a round of drinks on the bar on my mom or dad's sobriety birthday and saluting sobriety. It was just so stupid, man. So I was just such a fucking idiot. But I was the cool kid and I was the cool adult. And I used people all the time to get, attention, and I manipulated you, and I made you feel bad, and I made you feel like you wanted to be with me, and all the other stuff that came into it. The thing that happened in college was this, the pivot point, as I say, where my brother Dave, who's 2 years older than me, who's a Marine, sent me his ID in the mail because of the drinking age in Arizona at the time. Was 18.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. So it was on, man. It was on when I got accepted to ASU. Fuck, I have no idea. My dad was rich, so of course I just it was easy. All right, check. Just get the fuck out of my house. And it was on. I learned to like beer because it was 25-cent drafts. Any coin, any drink. And then there was like $2 pitchers. And
dude,
it was ridiculous. Who wasn't drinking in college for those prices?
Yeah.
And the credit card bills from these bars in the very beginning were the Dash Inn bookstore, McGuire's, fucking like support center. I mean, it's just to match the bar bills, because those were bars, and they put in like bookstore at the end or support center or, food. So,
dude.
Oh yeah. So, and then, learned to get along with complete strangers, had no problem. Everything was a mask over alcohol. And then I had the brilliant idea, my senior year to join a fraternity because I thought I was going to miss out. And, I rushed Theta Delta Chi at the age of 20. So, going into my 21st year, actually in September, the fall. And it was insane. It was everything that I imagined, everything that I wanted. And I stayed an extra year and a half. And I,
dude,
was doing everything wrong. I wasn't going to class. I was going to class, puking in class, waking up in strangers' beds, having girlfriends over, passing out in the parking lots, making it to the, it's so amazing that I'm alive. Getting into so many fist fights because I never won one fight. I mean, honestly, I never won one fight. I always got my ass kicked because I always walked in there and I was the biggest and the baddest. And I'm going to fucking fight. I'd be looking at this fucking guy, man, I'll fuck your shit up and I'm going to bang your girlfriend. And before I could finish the sentence, I was in the parking lot picking my teeth up.
Uh-huh.
And, because that's what we do.
Yep.
Our ego is bigger than our body. And
been there, done that.
It's the liquid courage, they call it. I needed a lot of that. And finally, one day, my dad said, the money's run out. You better figure out how to get out of college. So I was like, oh, shit. And at that time, our fraternity was under investigation for major violations under different lewdness and lascivious acts and conduct code. And Arizona State Police came in and shut us down during Hell Week. And it was just everybody ran for the fucking hills. And I said, oh shit, I better graduate. And I didn't care that freshmen were getting my seats as a senior because I wanted to party. And I just kept lying to my parents saying, there's no room. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. I can't get a class. I got to stay another semester. I'm sorry. Well, I wasn't going to leave. Random. Crazy.
This is fantastic.
Fucking flowing bitches and booze and no responsibility and working a pizza job and bartending job. Oh my God, I was in heaven. I wasn't going to give it up. So, and it just happened. Everything was closing in and I was like, I need to make a shift. So I finished up all my classes. And the funny thing, all these professors, they knew my father from the business, and they're like, "What? This is just not acceptable. I don't give a fuck who your dad is." I had to stay another semester and redo those courses I failed because I was just, drunk most of the time, just kind of phoning it in, writing scripts or writing like little short PSAs and stuff. Finally, I have a degree from Arizona State. December 1993, I graduated. I'm very proud of that. It wasn't all booze and bitches. There was a lot of great times. I was able to spend the summer in Italy. And it was blackout mostly, but I enjoyed college to the fullest on somebody else's time. But I have a degree. I have an education. I'd like to think I'm smart. And then and it got really bad because when you go through that stuff, Omar, you just think you're invincible.
Yes,
you just think you're invincible. You just think, Lord, I got a degree. My dad's in the business. I got fucking all this stuff going on over here that makes me feel good. I don't want to go to work. I don't want responsibility. So I said, I'm going to stay here in Arizona. And I think my parents knew that after I didn't tell them that I escaped this horrible DUI, oddly enough, with a very good friend of mine who's still sober today. Props out to RJ. I don't give a fuck about his anonymity either way. He's coming up on 21 years, and that motherfucker helps every damn day, dude. He is somebody who I rely on. We talk every week about program. I fly out and go to his men's stag. So if he sees this, he can fuck off. He knows what's up. But I finally was persuaded to come home after the earthquake. I think it was 94, Northridge.
I can't remember, but yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and so my dad says, I really need you. If you come home, I'll put you in a television spot. You're going to work this degree. And I didn't think he would lie. So he said, I'll help you out as much as I can. So once I committed to helping him, I didn't get that job because I had no experience and no skills and no resume. And so for the first 6 months, I went up and down the coast to work as a production assistant for food. And that's how I got into the business. You prove your worth. My father said, he says, do you really think nepotism runs in this family? You better fucking figure it out, dude. And this guy started a lot of people's careers. And, I guess you're looking back on as a parent, you didn't want to be embarrassed if I screwed up that connection because, I was a drunk. And sure enough, I got blackballed from Warner Brothers by being stupid.
Oof.
And being drunk in the sets and just the green room and the behavior. Yeah, I was done. And it just didn't stop. I just, I didn't care. I didn't have these abilities. I lived from paycheck to paycheck, from couch to couch. My parents always loved me and took me and always gave me money here and there. And then it's just like something really started to change. And I got desperate and I started stealing from my father. He had this big, the old glass sparklets bottles, and he would literally fill up those 5-gallon things and then take himself to Hawaii. And he said that was the pocket change money, that shit was like almost $2 or $3 grand in change. And he would stuff these fucking like $100 bills in there and stuff. So you'd have half coins and half packed cash. And I'm like, you'll never miss it. And he knew, and he let me steal it. And I spent it all on booze. There was a brief stint where I thought I was a drug dealer. I hooked up with this guy who was selling block cocaine out of Arizona, and he says, "You're all," he says, "I've never seen a guy like you. You got all these fucking friends. They all want drugs. You now have a source. I'll split the money with you." And I said, "What does that mean?" He says, "I'll give you like 5 or 10% of the brick." "What's the brick sell for?" "I can get these bricks. I'm going to get them in here for this much. I'll probably sell them for like 10 grand. You can use $6,000 or $7,000, right?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, "What do you need?" He says, "I need 5 grand. I gave him the 5 grand cash. That night, everybody went to jail. It was a fucking sting.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Oh, man. Rookie.
Yeah. Hello.
Oh, wow.
So that coincided with the fact with the numerous DUIs that I escaped because I knew everybody. And finally, one guy didn't know who I was and beat the shit out of me in a closed room on the complex because I called his mom a whore. And, he pulled me out of come on, pulled me out of my own party. God damn it. How dare he? Even though I was underage drinking in my own party, the noise complaint was so loud. And I offered him a beer, and he told me to come outside. I said, I ain't that stupid. And immediately he spilt it out of my hand and grabbed me by the arm, and he took me, threw me on the ground. He says, "Oh my God, you're outside, and you're underage, and you're intoxicated." So he took me in the car. He said, "You're such a bitch. Your mom's a whore." He says, "Hold on, guys, before we go to book, I gotta have a conversation with Mr. Velona." Oh. Call my brother. My brother's a cop. He'll save me. And he says, "I don't do that. I have my own justice." I literally cracked my ribs, and at that point in time, I had learned to enjoy the pain of getting hit so much. I don't know what it was. It was like an addiction on top of the addiction. The white flash right before you get knocked out. It was like that. Well, let me tell you, it's pretty. If you ever get knocked out, Omar, you see that white flash, and you just kind of go. It's almost like being high and shit. But the guy beat the shit out of me. Gave me a couple screen tests in the back of the van. You know what a screen test is, right? It's when they forget to hook you to the back so you don't move. So you're just sitting on a bench, and then all of a sudden they speed up and they open up the slide. Oh, shit. And they said, "Hey, John, I don't know. Did you see that? There's like all these dogs in the street," and they hit the brakes. So that everybody just goes forward. So we were like a pinball for like 2 hours. And that didn't fucking work for me either. I didn't care. I enjoyed all that shit. It was just it was just so sick. I know I talk about it, but I can it's funny to me now that I survived those crazy years, but then of course it gets dark and you're down to nothing, and your parents disown you, and your brothers and sisters run, and you're fucking doing stupid shit on the streets, and you kind of have to make a change. And I had one more con left in me. So I went to my old man and I said, I don't have anywhere to go, and I don't know what to do. Oh my God. And I need some help. And he just shook his head, and with a tear in his eye, and he says, "No, I can't do it anymore. I've taken your money, I've taken the cars, taken the keys to the house, so you're going to have to figure this out." And he says, "I'm sorry, son," and your mother fully agrees with me. And my mom was crying in the back, and it was the hardest thing to see. And, it was kind of like Robert Downey Jr., man, in Less Than Zero. And I was just like, I said, what about that A&A stuff that you do? Maybe I'll try that. And my dad turned around and he goes, "What?" And I said, "Yeah. What if I go to an A&A meeting? Will you let me stay?" And of course he said yes. And I fucking said, "I got it." But he simply said, "If you don't go to a meeting every day for 30 days, I'll know. And I suggest you call this guy. He's waiting to talk to you." And it was the biggest fucking guy I've ever seen in my life. One of his guys that I called him a pussy bitch, one of his babies, who was like 6'5", arms up to here. He couldn't walk, couldn't put him down. Rick, the plumber. And so I walked into this cafe and I said, "I think I got a problem." And he just laughed out loud. And he goes, "You think?" So I was waiting for you, dude. Waiting for you. You know how hard that conversation was to have with your dad? I want to kill you. I want to snap your fucking neck. And what I realized was that all these guys weren't bitches or pussies or, the babies. They actually cared about my dad. They actually cared about his feelings and his fear about his sons and his daughter, of course, getting into this dreaded disease. And Rick said it best. He simply said, "I don't give a fuck what you do. I am not your father. I would never want to be your father, but I want to be your friend. And all you have to do is go to a meeting. It may not be for you, but you really have to get honest. You have to go in there and you have to raise your hand because you're an alcoholic. Not because you're taking a cake with your mom or you're giving somebody some sobriety cakes, but you're there for yourself. Can you do that? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. That's a big commitment, you know. And he says, can you just try? I'll sit next to you and I'll never let you leave. So, and I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I went to this, my first meeting was on a Wednesday night. It was a mixed book study / like open topic. And I walked in there and of course I knew everybody. And it's like, hey, Chris, who's taking a cake? Yeah. What's going on? How's your mom? How's your dad? And I was, you know, and they looked at the month on their watch. They're like, wait, it's September. There's no cakes in your family. And I said, yeah, I'm here for myself. And you could have heard a pin drop. And they were just like, oh, shit. And I was in, well, you can sit up in the front with us. We were waiting for you. Well, if I can't, we got a couch in the back for that fucker. We know he's fucking fucked up. And they made it easy on me. And I was like, I think it's going to be okay. And this first woman shared about how the washing machine wasn't working. And she was bawling her eyes out. And I just was like, God, how pathetic is this woman? Her biggest fucking problem is the washer. And I just was like, I looked at her and I knew her and I just felt so sad. I never heard her story. And I looked at my frickin' Rick, the sponsor. I said, why is she crying over a fucking washing machine? And he says, you know, sometimes it's the little things, Chris, that push us out the door. Shut up and fucking listen. Sit on your hands. Don't share. You ain't got nothing that anybody wants. You're an arrogant little prick. And you've got nothing to say. Shut the fuck up. He told me I couldn't talk for the first 90 days. I had to get 90 meetings in 90 days before I could even the only thing I could do was identify and take chips. I couldn't speak. And that was so hard for me, you know? It's quite funny. And then it just started from there, dude. I turned it around. Funny thing happens when you get sober and you actually take this shit seriously. I was able to apologize and actually mean it. I was able to establish relationships with my family again. I was able to get a job and keep a job. I was able to feel better. I was able to eat more. I was able to gain weight. I was able to not be a risk because I had this fear that I was going to die a horrible death. And as I'm sitting in Dr. Drew Pinsky's office, he looked at me because he's a family friend of ours. You know, Dr. Drew.
Yeah. No, I don't, yeah. But I'd like to.
But he's a great guy. And he just simply, you know, I went to him for a fucking an STD.
No way. You went to Dr. Drew for an STD?
Yes, because he's still a medical internist. You know, he's still a doctor.
That's hilarious. What did he say when you went there for that?
Well, I don't give a fuck. I went there for a fucking sexually transmitted disease. I don't give a shit. And he ran my blood and he was like concerned. He says, you know, when you're calling me freaking me out and I know your history and then I'm learning your blood panels and 10% of your liver is gone, bro. It is fucking gone. And you have all the symptoms of an alcoholic. I want to ask you two questions. Do you think that you're an alcoholic? And two, if you answer yes, do you want help? I think it was like 19, 20 at the time. I just laughed in his face and oh, Drew, you're so funny. Now, you can leave that shit to my parents. That's your deal. I'm good, man. I just need some penicillin. It was something like that. It was just something like that. I was probably drunk when I saw him.
Oh, my God.
You know, so... and to this day, he's a great friend. He's a great friend. And, but I was able to actually extend my own hand and actually want to help somebody for once and not have any expectations. I sponsored a handful of guys Sadly, some of them are gone, have died. Some of them have moved on to other sponsors. Some of them are not sober, and I've had the whole gamut of anger and resentment and feelings about that, even in sobriety. In sobriety, the good stuff. In sobriety, I was able to have a great career. I was able to get married. I was able to become a father. I was able to start multiple businesses. I was able to get divorced. And now I'm able to save my son's life who's dying. All through this program. And I can tell you this, everybody says it, but it's absolutely fucking true. If I was not sober today, I would either be dead, in jail, or in an insane asylum. I would not be a father. I would not be here as a person. I'd be just shifting through this road and trying to get your next fucking drunk. I firmly believe that in sobriety, I've been giving all of these challenges to constantly become a more better and evolving man to help my fellow humans. You hear about all these gurus out there today, Omar, who are successful entrepreneurs making 5 figures, 6 figures a fucking day. And they finally get what this whole thing is about. It's about helping others and giving it away, or whatever you want to fucking call it. And the thing is that it's so sad that these guys who are making all this money, who are preying on the insecure individuals out there that are just trying to figure out how to pay the fucking light bill. And they want you to go to their class, or they want you to go to their fucking seminar. And it's not for free, but because you got to buy a book or some bullshit like that. But the only thing that I can tell you, that the irony is that the success of my life has been because I am doing service work for others. Flat out. And guess what? I'm not getting a goddamn dime from it. Why? Because I don't have any expectations anymore. Expectations are nothing but planned disappointments, brother. Because when we want and we expect and we don't get, we get sad and we get hurt and we get resentful, and then we don't do it anymore. So if you remove all expectations out of the fucking problems in your life, you actually get to go forward and help others and be coachable and be teachable, as well as share. I'm happy to share everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the funny, if it's going to keep you sober, or if it's going to make a healthy decision for you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So those guys, they got it way too late. But, God bless them for trying. I don't have any fucking Facebook invites I get every day. Come join my seminar, blah, 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 blah. Whatever, dude. I got my own fucking crew, dude, in sobriety. Dude. Trust me. It's a much better deal.
So when we first started the interview, you were telling me a little bit about your son, So, as much as you want or don't want to tell, I'd like to know, and I'm sure our listeners would like to know, what that looks like and what you do and how you cope and how recovery has allowed you and afforded you the opportunity to be present and do what you got to do.
Well, when I accepted your invite to do this interview on this podcast, Omar, I was really flattered. And certainly my current day is part of my story currently. But I didn't want to use your show as a platform for what's happening in my life. But when you put it like that, it's almost kind of like you want to share what is happening and how you're dealing with it on a daily basis. So it's a fucking miracle I'm sober, to be honest with you. If you talk to anybody after you hear my story, people will say, how is this kid not sober? How is he not fucking taking a hit or shoving a needle in his arm? So the story evolved about Sebastian and Gage when I became a parent in 2003 and then 2005. Kids were healthy, and then my oldest, Sebastian, had a seizure, and another, and all the drugs, and immediately my wife at the time and we had different ideas on what to do, on how to raise children. It goes without saying, in most marriages, men are inherently fixers And, fuck off. So there's dirt on it. You'll be all right. Get out the door. He's missing his arm. That's okay. Just get some saran wrap. And women are like, no, he's going to fucking die. He's got a bee sting. Bubble wrap that shit. So there's a lot of conflict. And especially when you have a first diagnosis of epilepsy for Sebastian, it was a huge blow to this family. And you do what everybody else does. You search the internet for answers, which I don't recommend to anyone who has a child or you're going through a disease. Stay off the fucking internet.
Yeah.
Because you're going to find a lot of people, like I told you before, those fucking internet gurus who've got the secret sauce and they got the answers. So we got smart, and we were doing a lot of fundraising for pancreatic cancer research because my ex-father-in-law had died from pancreatic cancer, and my ex-mother-in-law had died from colon cancer. And so we were part of the Hirschberg Foundation, and we were raising money to find a cure for pancreatic cancer. So we went through, the other board members and said, hey, do you have any doctors that have experience in epilepsy? And of course they did, because all these doctors share notes. And we met Dr. Sankar and Dr. Sean Hussein at UCLA, and we started that process of the road to recovery for epilepsy. What does that look like? And they said there's no cure. He's probably going to grow out of it. He's going to be on drugs. He either will or will not have adult epilepsy, so we don't know. So at that time, he's very young, 6, 7. And so you just do what everybody else does. You shove a bunch of fucking pharmaceuticals down your kid, and you hope for the best. And it just pained me, that this kid was taking 5, 6 different types of meds 3 times a day to cure, these horrible fucking seizures. I don't give a shit what anybody says. When you see a seizure in a child or an adult, it is scary. It is scary as fuck. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to react. Most people just walk away. It's crazy. And very few people will kind of just sit there and stare. I'm used to it. Shit, we just had a seizure on Friday in the shower, which is fucking crazy. But, my son is the poster child for every side effect in every bottle of pill. Everything. If it says it on the bottle, may cause, my son has it. From loss of vision, loss of speech, loss of balance, all these things, including death. Yeah, we've had a narrow experience with that shit too. So all these things were, it struggles, the struggles between that and your family, and then having a younger son who doesn't understand either. The marriage didn't survive. Unfortunately, we parted ways before we got the real fucking diagnosis, which is now Batten disease. So that's Batten disease. So, and that's what we now know is that epilepsy is just merely a symptom of Batten disease, one of many symptoms. This disease robs every child of a childhood. Death is imminent. There is no cure currently. And sorry, my son just popped in. And basically, there's a lot of different horrible things. You can't speak, you can't walk, you can't eat, you lose your vision. Eventually, you end up in a wheelchair with a G-tube, and then you die a horrible death of pain. So what it does, it's a neurological disease that takes the mind and takes the body at the same time. So a lot of children do not survive past 7, 8, 9 years old. Late infantile Batten disease, you have a few teenagers out there in the world, and you have a couple of adults, and that's it. It's very rare. They say that disease in your children or in your family either brings everybody together or it pulls everybody apart. I was too weak, Omar, to keep it together. I pulled away. I pulled apart. I fought because I wanted what I wanted for my son, and she wanted what she wanted. And unfortunately, we didn't see eye to eye. Divorce and a lot of unhappy years. A lot of challenges. Currently, today, a lot of challenges. We don't know if he's going to live. We're currently fundraising for a clinical trial for CNL8 out of Sanford Research at Children's Hospital in Ohio, but the price tag is $3.5 million, and there's no insurance company taking it yet. So you have to fundraise. So the day in the life currently is that I have to be with him 24/7. I have to help him, feed him, dress him, teach him. He goes to school and he's got great care there. He's got a bunch of people waiting for him, helping him there. Then there's the fundraising aspect, which takes 24/7. Oh, and then you got to have a job. You have to have a job on top of that. So honestly, I have wanted to drink heavily in the last 10 years. I won't fucking tell you that I'm that strong. And I've come very close. But because of these men and women in my life that are sober, I just remember the basics, Pick up that 1,000-pound phone when you can't fucking pick yourself up. Call someone and tell them you're hurting and you're not seeking attention. Tell them that you want to drink. Tell them that you need them. Don't be afraid to fucking burn up that fucking phone. So the alcoholic mindset gets a lot of shit done, don't we?
Yes.
We get a lot of shit done because that's one of the geniuses. We're our fucking rat brains and we are multitaskers, and we could operate heavily on drugs and alcohol. But when we are sober, look the fuck out when we set our minds to something. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. So, my ex-wife has her own foundation called the Sebastian Velona Foundation. I have my own foundation called Project Sebastian. Project Sebastian was created during the marijuana boom.
Hi.
Hey, what's up, Sebastian?
What's that?
That's Omar.
Nice to meet you, buddy. Thumbs up.
He's in Costa Rica.
When you die, it kicks you
Uh-oh.
out.
Uh-oh. You got tickets for those? To the gun show. Nice.
Well, it's getting kind of crowded in here. Holy shit.
Kids
All
in
right.
shape.
Hey.
Is that the claw? All right. I'll be in a minute. Thank you. So,
Peace out.
I don't listen to doctors. I don't.
I don't have a gun.
I've talked to these other parents who put their children in the grave, and the one thing that they have said to me is that they wish they kept them healthier and stronger. We get sidetracked with trying to find a cure. We lose sight about keeping the body healthy and working out. So he and I, we train all the time together. He's really strong, and we're trying to keep him out of that wheelchair.
Dad.
And
No way else.
yeah, he doesn't like wheelchairs. But it's funny, he'll help all his friends in school and push the wheelchairs because he's got empathy. It's something that's amazing. I didn't teach that. I have no idea how he got that. But I firmly believe that Sebastian's going to change the face of how we do medicine. And it's through these trials that we're fundraising for that is going to help not only Batten disease, but many other horrible diseases that gene therapy replacement will be a part of. And it's already happening. People are starting to look at it. Unfortunately, it takes a fuck ton of money to get it because these people don't work for free, and there's no government grants. If there was government grants, that would be great. Then the people could be invited to the trials, and then the pharmaceuticals can make up the money on the back end. So, but what is happening? So I'm sober today. I can't explain how or why. I just don't think that I would be really any good to anybody if I just checked out. I don't believe I would be doing my children's service. I don't think I would be doing me a service. I think that I would just end up dead in some strip club. That's how I just did it all the time. So these guys are my reason. Most people would say, what's your why? I hate that shit, but yeah.
It's a strong why.
So every day I check in with my higher power. I hug my boys. I go to a meeting. I work on the foundation. I try to raise awareness. I try to put together money. And I send every bit of money to these scientists that are working. See, I can pay their fucking accounts directly, which is amazing. and nobody's making any money. They're just working. And I've got the eyeballs of the government finally. So what I will share with you in the graciousness of my sobriety, I was able to do something amazing. And I'm very proud of it. And I'm not boasting, but you must fucking know that without sobriety, I couldn't have done this. So this Monday coming up, 1 week from today, I'll be on the Congress Senate floor in the state of California, in the Capitol. And I will be arguing for rights for special needs and special advocacy. And we will create a Batten Disease Awareness Weekend here in the state of California. And I co-authored the bill, and it's now into the Assembly and the Senate's hands. And I just got the email that they now are inviting me up there to make it happen. So through the grace of God and sobriety, that's the only reason really why it's fucking happening. Let's be honest. Because if you drank like me, Omar, you wouldn't give a fuck about him. Right? It's just me. So I'm a doer. I'm not a talker. I talk shit, but I am a doer. I learned that. I learned that from every sponsor I've ever had. Get into action, and the rest will happen.
Yes.
So clean house, trust God, keep your side of the street clean. Fucking kiss your ass goodbye if you ever drank. Get on your knees first. And I do that. I do all those things. And the writing and the step work are just as important as the phone calls. And, I got to tell you, the meeting after the meeting after the meeting after the meeting, those are the reasons why I have such strong sobriety. You find a group of guys you click with or gals you click with, grasp that, hold on to that, and fucking use it. And you'll realize that this is really a simple program, but we as the individual always fuck it up. We always get in our own way because we think we know better. Again, this thing is our enemy. So that's my story. I plan on staying sober tonight because that's all I have. And, that's it. I'm going to make some pizza rolls and some French fries.
Dude, this is where I would usually chime in and go, HP, baby. And, going through what you're going through, I know that it's so clear. I'm about to celebrate 15 years this month. And
hold on a second. He's excited. He wants to be interviewed too.
Totally. I get it. So let's start winding down, because I know you got to make it's dinner time. So
Sebby,
Hey.
I know you want, but I need you to be respectful, please. Want to let Sophie out? Not while I'm on this call. We'll do it together because I don't want her to run away.
Why?
Because she'll run away. That's what dogs do.
No,
Yeah, out of your room, please. Yes. Let her out. Held captive. These guys are like inseparable, freaking frack. All right, let's wind it down.
All right. So, Chris, what was keeping you from getting clean or staying clean when you first got introduced to recovery?
Well, I was a one and done. There was no keeping me away. I bought the package, as they say. So what kept me away up until the time I decided to make a decision?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I just didn't think I was one of you. I hated AA. I hated the people in there. I hated everything that AA stood for. The last thing I was going to do was admit that I was an alcoholic and fucking eat my words. And I think that what is very intelligible now, what kept me away was ego. Sir, plain and simple.
Absolutely. So tell us when you had that aha moment, that spiritual awakening, when you accepted that you were powerless over drugs and alcohol, but for the first time had developed the hope that you could recover.
I think it was when I blew out that first candle. My dad gave me my first cake. And it was pretty powerful shit, man. It wasn't a dry eye in the house. It was like 100 people deep at this Saturday meeting that he started out of La Crescenta. And, that was the aha moment. I heard his pitch so many times before, but this time he included me in it a little bit. He said, my son should not be here today. And it was just like fuck, man, it was just so powerful. It still fucking gets me, man. It was just so powerful because it was just like, how did I cause so much emotional distress into someone I loved? It was like a fucking brick had been just thrown through my heart. And I couldn't even speak when I took my cake. And the only thing I said was, my dad just told me to blow out a candle. And if... Okay, please. Thank you. And he said, if you don't have that feeling that you're extremely grateful and scared at the same time, then I'll gladly refund all your misery. What do you do with that? Same thing. And I told him, I said, I made it. I'm fucking here. And he said, you did it. Because I thanked him and I thanked my mother, of course. And I thanked my first sponsor. But, the great thing about this program is like, it's true. It's an inside job, but we can't do it alone. And it all clicked. And I didn't want that feeling to leave. I didn't want that feeling. And year 2 came, and year 4 came, and year 5 came. And all the years started piling up, and I just did more and more work. And it became my life. It overcame my life. I can't have a life without, sobriety. I used to hate those people who used to give, my name is so-and-so, I'm a grateful alcoholic. And I go, but that's what I said. And I'm like looking around the room, and these fuckers are like. So, that was the aha moment. Year 1, honestly, it just clicked.
All right. And so what was the best suggestion you have ever received?
I wanted to do so much harm to a certain individual, and I wanted to create so much havoc. And I was sober at the time too. And I wanted to stop this person and teach them a lesson. And this very wise man said to me, he says, stay the fuck out of the results. God has got it. And if you think that he's not watching and listening, then you better check in more with your HP. So the thing was, stay out of the results. I don't have to defend the truth. That was another great one. And that was it. It's still. I still have to use it today. Stay out of the results. It's none of my fucking business. And that's hard. It's hard. It's really hard to do that today.
You see self?
Okay. He can't see self. Come closer. There's Sophia. There you go.
Adorable.
She's a lover.
That's good.
She's a lover.
Go to your room. Bye-bye.
No.
All right, one more. If you could give our newcomers only one suggestion, what would it be?
Stop exactly what you're thinking about right now and go to a meeting. Because in that meeting, there's someone there who is feeling worse than you, having a worse time, and feeling so hopeless. When you find that one person and you look at your shitty life as you know it, the way you think it is, you will feel this small. And if you follow the principles of this program and you extend your hand and say, hi, I understand, it's amazing how you feel. So stop what you're thinking, the stinking thinking, get to a meeting and listen for the similarities. And then say hi. Make yourself known. Because the newcomer is scared as fuck. They don't want to be there. They're trying to get through the fucking court system. And these I call them, these idiots. If they knew they could just sign their own card.
Buddy, I was one of those idiots. I signed all my own cards.
you're a smart man. You're not the idiot, but you hear all these guys talk about later on. They say, "I didn't know you could do that." There's one guy said, "Take it to the bar and just have it."
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, honestly, the stinking thinking. Stop thinking that it's the end. Get into action. Help another alcoholic, and you know what? All this goes away.
I'm satisfied with my work.
It does. I honestly find people that are in a worse position than me. And it's not too hard to look. It's serious.
We actually get a swab.
So yeah,
You guys are stacked up.
Chris, I got so much love and respect for you, brother. And I just anything that I can do, that we can do, how can we support you in this time, like the foundations? What I'd like to do is list those all on the show notes, and if anyone wants to contribute, they can.
I appreciate that. By no way do I want to use this as a promo, but it is part of my story.
It is.
I'm not afraid to ask. If you want, go to my site.
There you go.
Check it out. See what we're doing. See what I'm up against. It's www.projectsebastian.org. I am a 501c3. Your donations have tax credits, and you basically will go through the stories, some pictures, some.
Budget.
Thank you. Some. What the fuck?
It's
He's
priceless.
bouncing up. How could I not be happy and go lucky and free with this fucking kid? So you'll see some press. You'll see my interview with Dr. Drew. You'll see some other clippings and stuff like that. We have an ongoing CLN8 trial for gene therapy replacement going on. I can just be honest with you. It works. It's working with other children. You're not supposed to really know, but I don't care. It's saving lives, but we need money to continue the program. And until I get an angel investor, I don't have any other choice. My goal for Project Sebastian is to continually to fund well beyond the $3.5 million. If and when Sebastian does pass away, I will not stop. I will continually raise money to help fund these clinical trials.
Keep moving forward.
Yes, keep moving forward for gene therapy. And I'm not going to let him die in vain. I'm hoping to God we get to a solution because honestly, it's not really a race for the money. Peace out. God, Jesus. There's so much energy. It's not so much a race of the money as it is time, because every month he gets worse and worse, and there's nothing to do to stop it. I've kind of held it at bay by training him and forcing food into his body, but it's about the time. And I can honestly tell you this. Listen up. I want you to understand something, okay? I ain't no fucking guru, but I'll tell you right now what's the most important thing that you'll finally figure out when you're in this situation. It's not a job, it's not a relationship, and it's not money. It's time. Is the most valuable component of life. You can't buy it, you can't get it back, but you constantly lose it. So I make every day really important. And sometimes that's me Netflixing all day with him in the bed, doing his cat shit. I don't give a fuck. He's my kid. He can do whatever the hell he wants. But you know what I'm saying? It's time, Omar. It's the most valuable component that you can't acquire. So you have to race to find a cure. I can't buy time. I need money so that I can fix it, and then I can have time. But there is no guarantees, as it is a clinical trial. So,
Okay, so I want
projectsebastian.org. Donate if you will. Get your tax credits, whatever you're looking for. It doesn't really matter to me. What I really, really want is for your viewership to spread awareness, for you to maybe help me spread awareness. I need press. I need TV shows. I need viewership. I need likes. I need followers. It's like on my board over here in my office, it's like, how do I do that? It's like, how do I get more followers? More like blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, Tony introduces me to you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Pretty awesome.
That's how it works. Tony has a big reach.
Love Tony. He's got a great family. Supported me in my challenge when I climbed Grace Peak in Colorado. They put me up for the weekend. They put up with my bullshit. And his lovely wife made me the best bath in the world. I fell asleep in it. God bless Amber. And the kids are amazing. You know, that family's just awesome. And I definitely need to give them a visit again. So thank you. Thank God for the Grubmeyers putting me in touch. And it's so funny because that fucking prick came to me saying, how do I do this? I said, sit down, shut up and listen, you giant. You ain't got nothing to share. You ain't got nothing that we want. And then here we are, 9-10 years later, helping each other. So that's really how it works, right?
Yes.
Right. That's exactly. He's not getting anything out of it.
No.
He just, because he loves me and he loves my kids and I love him and we help each other. So I'm extremely humbled that he introduced me to you because I've enjoyed talking with you and sharing my story. I make no apologies for my life or being long-winded or the jokes or anything like that because I can find the humor in sobriety. I can find the humor in life. And I have the utmost respect for this program. And I'm still learning.
That's the beauty of life. And that's the beauty of recovery. And that's the beauty of it all. We keep learning and growing and life just continues to get better and better. That's what recovery has given me, the opportunity to learn and grow and keep growing.
Yeah. Maybe we have a visit to Costa Rica.
There you go. Costa Rica, baby. A land alive.
Said it was like Hawaii. I'm down.
It is. All right. So, Chris, again, thank you so much. I'm going to post the website on the show notes, projectsebastian.org, right? If you guys have any questions, I'll have Chris's contact info on there as well. You can reach out to him. You can ask me more questions. And in the meantime, as we say here in Costa Rica, pura vida.
What does that mean?
Pure life.
More life.
Give us a pura vida, Chris.
Pura vida, my friends. You can catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, blah, blah, blah.
Thank you for joining us on the SHAIR Recovery Podcast. To check out the show notes page on this interview or to thank our guests for sharing their story, go to www.theshairpodcast.com. While you're on the website, don't forget to sign up for our free newsletter to stay up to date on the latest news, podcasts, and interviews. Want to be one of our guests and share your story? Then go to our website and click on the Share Your Story button. We share our inspiring recovery stories every Tuesday, so subscribe to our show on iTunes or Stitcher Radio to get your free weekly download. We'll see you then. The opinions shared on this show reflect those of the individual speaker and not of any 12-Step Fellowship as a whole. And though we discuss 12-Step recovery and the impact it had in our lives, we do not promote or endorse any 12-Step Anonymous program.